Hello, everybody. It's Jason.
Hey, and it's Marnie.
Today, what is today? Today's Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday. We're like in the middle of our week again. We've had some special guests this week again to help us with, supporting people's kind of social, emotional, physical well-being, I guess, right?
Yeah, so I think we're going to carry on that kind of theme today, aren't we? Just ourselves.
Yeah, I think that, Jason and I were talking about our conversations that we had Amanda on Monday, and then yesterday we had Ev and Brent, and we kind of talked about, I guess, more about how we regulate ourselves, how we take care of ourselves, and we sort of touched on expectations and self-care in those conversations. And so Jason and I were thinking that we would maybe have sort of more conversation around self-care. Like what are we talking about when we say self-care? Because I think that's a really important topic, because you hear that all the time, people saying, make sure you're caring for yourself. Self-care is so important. But what does that really mean?
You know what? I that's exactly kind of where I am at too in this kind of journey, in this walk of the the um, the pandemic walk I'm on with people with myself. And like I talked yesterday, kind of that transition point. We're really in a transition point. The conversations have really shifted now from crisis to opening things up. And I'm just really struggling with what does that mean for me personally. And that means that I'm kind of emotionally kind of trying to figure things out. So how do I translate that into my self-care? That's pretty important. Yes. Yeah.
Well, and I think, like, for me, like, self-care is something that we know supports kind of our mental, emotional, physical health, right? That's what self-care is. And we say that, I think, lots of times, and we hear that in our world. And I think we need to be really aware that self-care is individual. I think for everybody, I don't think there's like a one um, kind of prescription way of having or implementing self-care. I think we need to realize that to take good care of ourselves, it basically is doing things that would improve our mood and kind of reduce that feeling of overwhelm or anxiety. And that's going to look different for everybody. And I think that we need to make sure that whatever it is that fits for us, developing like our own rhythm, our own routines, something that really, I think, fills us up as opposed to depleting us. And so, for some people, physical exercise is definitely, like, we heard that yesterday from both Evan, Brent, and actually Amanda. When we think about that,
Yeah.
that was a common theme this week, that they all indicated that the physical outlet was their self-care. But that isn't for everybody. And so I think we need to then not place expectations on ourselves that our self-care has to look the way it's prescribed by other people. I think self-care needs to be it needs to be simple, it needs to be realistic, it needs to be achievable, and it needs to really make you feel good. It fills you up. And I think we need to figure out what that is for ourselves. And I think, there are those things that we should be doing for our physical health and emotional health, which would be sleep, nutrition, exercise. But that doesn't mean that exercise has to be your idea of self-care. Maybe it is, but maybe it isn't. And that's okay.
You know what? I really like when I think about human beings and think about us. I really like that circle, like the holistic person, right? That circle where we have, and there's so many different types of circles, but
Mm-hmm.
physical. We have that spiritual. We have that emotional, and we have that. What's the other one? Sort of that academic learning knowledge piece. And I think I tend to go to one of those pieces in that pie.
Yeah.
I really like pie. So I should probably look at the whole piece of pie, right?
Well, and
And
sorry, keep going.
I was just going to say, but like, right, let's be honest, when I go to that physical part, although I'm nurturing my body and it feels good, my body feels good after I've gone for a walk or something, there's also an emotional part that gets drained because it's work for me and figuring all that out. So yeah, like you're saying, what do we do to give us pleasure, but how do we maintain that balance as us as a whole person, right?
Well, and I think like self-care, if we're really talking about that, it shouldn't be something we're forcing ourselves to do, but we're doing that then replenishes us, right? So I'm not saying, like I said, there's that whole really important part of overall physical, emotional health around exercise, sleep, nutrition, which are absolutely important. But I think if we're talking specifically about a self-care strategy, it needs to be something that feels like it's relaxing, it's improving your mood, it's reducing that feeling of overwhelm and anxiety, and that's going to be different for everybody. And so I think for me, when I'm really trying to be cognizant of my self-care, I think you almost really kind of have to schedule it in a way, because otherwise we can get lost in sort of the overwhelm of the day-to-day. But figuring out what is it that really fills you back up, and then trying to do something every day that's relaxing, trying to do something every day that brings you pleasure, and maybe something physical is important too. But I think trying to really make sure that you're laughing every day or connecting every day in some way, and just really figuring out what is it that helps you to feel replenished. And I think, again, it's that whole simple, realistic, and achievable, because it's like we put those expectations on ourselves, and you can see some of these people that are just like doing a zillion things, and you can really easily start to feel inadequate. And so I think like self-care can be something really simple. It can be listening to music. It can be standing in the hot shower with the water on your back. It can be, a hot cup of tea. It can be lighting a beautiful scented candle that can be relaxing as you sit in a dim room. It can be a bath. It can be a gratitude list. It can be a zillion different things that can be really easy, but can bring you joy and make you feel replenished after.
Can be a walk around the block and stopping at one neighbors and waving to them in the window, right?
Yeah.
Could be going you can't go to the gym. It could be going for a longer walk or a longer bike ride and actually getting really fit, right? It could be simply.
I think it's just whatever feels good to you, right? It needs to feel good. Otherwise, it's not really self-care. If you're forcing yourself to do something, and yes, it gives you some kind of benefit for sure, but if it feels like it's depleting you on the other end, then I don't think it's self-care. So I think we should be conscious of nutrition, sleep, exercise for sure. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be. See, as you can tell, I'm on the other end of the spectrum. We had people that were really into the physical aspect of self-care. That would not be what I would choose to do for pleasure. It's not saying I shouldn't do it, but I would be more about like lighting that scented candle, if I had any, from Bath and Body, which I don't, which I'm sad about, but that'll be okay. I'll get through that. But doing those things that just make you feel calm, centered, grounded, in the moment, whatever that is for you, I think we need to embrace that, not judge each other, find what works, make sure you are conscious of scheduling those times to care for yourself, caring for yourself, being kind to yourself.
That's the key, I think. Yeah, being kind to yourself, and I like that holistic perspective, right? I mean, talking about other things, but you do go for a walk, right? You take your kid, you go for a walk, and so nurturing and being aware, like Brent said, of other parts that are feeling depleted, and how do we fill those up? I think that's a really important message. And understand,
you're right.
Self-care is care, and I like what you said. It's about taking care of yourself, whatever that is, and what makes you feel good and fills you up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to not place other people's expectations on yourself, right? Like I think just figuring out what you feel, what you need, what you can handle, and being able to embrace that and say that that's where I'm at, and that's okay. That's enough for today. And it's that moment to moment self-care, right? And just being aware. I think that self-awareness, and then the kindness and gentleness to each other, you know, caring for ourselves, caring for other people. Just, yeah, it's a lot of care, a lot of
I think
self-care.
I think that's one of the things I learned as growing up. You know, as you get older, you quickly learn that you lower your expectations for yourself, right? And
Yeah.
um, I really think that's an important message to not have expectations, but do what feels good, right?
Well, and I love that yesterday when Brent talked about that specifically, like that, you know, he really doesn't have expectations when he's providing even support or listening to people. And I think that's a way better way to be, and really be responsive in the moment, as opposed to having expectations for how something is going to be. And right now, honestly, in this time where things are changing and unpredictable, I think the less expectation we have for what something is going to look like, the less overwhelmed we're going to feel. And if we can just be in the moment and respond in the moment, and be gentle and kind, and, you know, be cognizant of that self-care for ourselves as we're caring for others, I think that that's going to be our way forward.
I think we just need to end on that, Marnie. I think that's the message, right?
Yeah, I think that that's where we need to be. That's where we're heading. I think that's a good way for the middle of the week, and we will proceed on. And yeah, I appreciate the conversation. I think I'm going to think about, what am I going to do for my self-care today? So
And I'm going to look at that holistic part, right? Where are some areas where I need to fill the bucket a little bit more? And where are some things that I can let go? I think that's really good. I think I need to do lots of work on that area. I talk a lot about lots, but I don't apply a lot, right?
yeah, well, we all do that, right? So I think let's try and be aware of how we provide balance in our lives in all those areas, so that we can, you know, ultimately just feel better.
So be aware, be kind, be in the moment, and take a break.
Sounds good to me, Jason.
See you guys.
Okay, see you guys. Bye-bye.